Hey mama, if you're listening to this, you might be carrying a secret that feels too heavy to speak out loud. You look like you got it all together, you serve at church, maybe you even lead a Bible study. You smile when you drop off the kids, but no one sees the other side of you, the one that comes out behind closed doors. At home, you are a completely different person. You yell, you explode, you scream at your kids, sometimes in their face. You tell them to shut up. You grab them too harshly. You throw things across the room. You smack them in anger, twist their ears, spank them in rage, and immediately after, you are hit with a tidal wave of shame. You cry alone in your room and you whisper, "God, what is wrong with me?" You feel scared and disgusted by your own reactions. You're terrified that someone might find out. You wonder if your kids would be better off without you. You feel unworthy, broken, and too far gone to be redeemed. You try to fix this on your own. You listen to podcasts, parenting books, download freebies, but nothing changes. You keep falling back into the same patterns, and it feels like you are stuck in a cycle that you can't break. You don't trust yourself anymore, and if you're honest, you are afraid of who you've become. But here's the truth, Mama. You are not beyond hope. You're not alone, and with God's help and the right support, you can change. I'm Elizabeth, a mom of 4 and an anger management coach for Christian moms. And inside my Calm Christian Mom coaching program, I guide women just like you through a powerful transformation. This isn't shallow behavior management. We go deep. We address your triggers, your stress, your mindset, your nervous system, and the spiritual root behind your patterns. We invite God into every layer and walk hand in hand towards healing. In just 12 weeks, you can become a completely different mom, unrecognizable. One who leads with patience, not panic. One whose children feel emotionally safe around her. One who cultivates peace. This summer, I'm offering a Calm Mama strategy session, a powerful 15-minute one-on-one coaching session designed to help you uncover the root of your anger and receive spiritual, emotional, and practical support. It's your chance to experience what coaching is like with me before diving deeper into ongoing support. If we both feel like the full program is the next right step, we can talk about what that looks like for you. You don't have to keep living like this. Your family is worth healing, and so are you. Use the link in the show notes to book the Calm Mama strategy session. If you feel hopeless, stuck, and like a failure when it comes to dealing with your anger struggles as a mom, first of all, I want to let you know that you are not alone. In today's episode, you get to meet Amber, a mama who just recently finished my coaching program. She came into my coaching program because she tried everything. She tried passive courses, doing things on her own. She tried memorizing Bible verses, praying. She tried listening to podcasts. She tried reading books. She tried going to therapy. She tried doing Bible studies, and even with all of that, she still felt stuck and had constant anger struggles and felt hopeless. So you get to hear her testimony, what changed and what helped her go from a mom who felt hopeless and stuck and like a failure to a mom that felt empowered and responsive with her son. Hi, Amber. Thank you so much for joining me today on Emotionally Healthy Legacy Podcast. I am so excited to talk to you today.
I'm excited too. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yes. So you are one of my clients and you're just about to be done with Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program. You're literally on your last week. And I am so proud of you and I'm so happy to have this conversation with you. I would love for you to share with the audience and with moms that are listening. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your name and how many kids do you have and what does your life look like?
I'd be happy to do that. My name is Amber Stewart, and I want to throw in that I'm an older mom. I'm 53, And I have two biological daughters that are 25 and 24. And then I have an adopted daughter that's 19 and an adopted son that's 12 right now. So my life looks a little different than most younger moms because I'm not quite empty nest, but I have one left at home, which is Jacob, and he's 12. So we are currently homeschooling him. And so, yeah, life looks different than I thought it would, but yeah,
Yeah, so you are a homeschooling mama, and you were actually my first homeschooling mama that I
okay.
worked with, which I'm so excited to share. I have another mom right now that is also a homeschooling mom, but it's not an experience I've ever experienced. I've only done kind of like, in a sense, homeschooling during COVID year when, the world
Oh,
shut
yeah.
down then for
Yeah.
several months. I mean, it wasn't really homeschooling. People say it's
Yeah.
not the same as like just doing all the worksheets and stuff, but that was like my only experience, if I would say, aligned with that. So I want you to share a little bit what was going on in your life that you decided to enroll in Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program? Because from what I recall, you searched on the podcast, you found me, and then literally booked a call that day, and I think enrolled that same day. Like it happened so, so quickly. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit what was going on in your life that brought you to that point.
Well, I was in a really, really deep, dark place at the time, and I had really been crying out to the Lord that I felt like a failure every day. I was really struggling with my anger. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but Jacob has autism. He's adopted and he has autism. And he also has a PDA profile of autism, which is kind of new. It's a newer type of diagnosis in the United States. But it is basically what it stands for is the pervasive drive for autonomy, which this was a whole new level of parenting for me. Autism in itself is very challenging, but there is a area of autism called autistic burnout, and that is basically when they are going to school every day and they are their nervous system is in complete shutdown basically. So he was masking all day at school but then coming home and just falling apart, and every day even just to get him out the door was such a challenge. It was very traumatic for him, for me, and anybody that's out there that's been through this, they know. And it's not easy and it's exhausting mentally, physically. So, as I began to homeschool, we had decided to homeschool, and then I was still struggling with dealing with his PDA profile. And so, when I was listening to the podcast that day, I was looking for a podcast actually about anger because I was struggling to show up as the mom I wanted to show up as. And so I just started searching and praying, Lord, I need a podcast just to encourage me in this moment for today. And I came across yours. And then at the end, you started talking about coaching. And I was like, oh, this is what I need. I need coaching because I had been through, some anger devotions. I had memorized scriptures. I had gone to counseling, but I really needed someone to walk with me every day, walk through this and hold me accountable and to just encourage me, And so that's what I was looking for. And it turned into so much more than what I ever thought. So, yeah,
Oh, thank you. And I'm so glad that you were able to find me and that God led you to my podcast. Like
absolutely.
what a blessing for both of us. And I
Oh,
really enjoyed supporting you on this journey. I would love for
thank you.
you to share with me before you joined the coaching program, how was the anger that you were experiencing affecting your relationships with your loved ones, your homeschooling son, maybe even in your marriage, maybe with your older
Yeah.
kids? Can you share a little bit about that with me?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I was stuck on this hamster wheel, basically. It was like I wanted to show up with this, this calm, God filled, spirit filled attitude. And that, but in the moment of Jacob's defiance and his pushback for equality and pushback for autonomy, he doesn't, PDA profiles don't like rules, they don't like authority. It's very difficult for their nervous systems to feel like that. So that we were just like on this cycle. And then, of course, I would get angry at my husband. I would feel like, I want him to do something different. I want him to try this or do that. And I'm reading about all these things. It was like we were just stuck on these patterns of, today's a new day, but then it would just end up in this, for me, this pattern of of anger. And I mean, I've always struggled with anger. That was not new, but this was a whole new level that I was really starting to feel. I found myself wanting to fall into depression and despair and bitterness and resentment. And those are all the areas that, that's really dangerous as a mom, especially as a homeschool mom. And I also wasn't showing up well for my husband and probably my oldest children too, because when I would, speak to them, they could hear the weariness in my voice, and I was just mentally exhausted.
Would you say there was more tension between you and your son when you
Oh,
first joined the
yeah.
program?
Yeah, definitely. And it was like a roller coaster. Like one day I would feel like, okay, we're making progress. And then the next day, it would feel like I was crashing down. So I just knew I needed something different. I needed more accountability, and I needed somebody that what I loved about your program, because you're very transparent and you were honest with me about your struggles too. And I didn't feel judged. And I needed someone that kind of knew where I was coming from, even if it
Mm.
wasn't exactly the same, just the feeling that there are other people out there that struggle with this too.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I've shared on my podcast before is that I teach this because this is hard for me. I don't teach
Hmm.
this because, oh, this comes easily for me. I never feel angry. I never feel reactive. I have to do this work constantly on myself. And
Right.
And so it's hard for me too, just like it is for you and other moms that join and go through this program. And so I want you to share with me, how would you describe yourself when you first joined the program? How would you think about yourself as a mom? Do you want to go back to and share some of those I am statements that you wrote down when you first joined?
Yeah, I think that I was in like I said, a really negative place where I felt like a failure every day. I remember some of the things that I would think about was, I'm never going to be able to do this. Why did God want me to adopt him? Why did God choose me? I am not capable. I am failing. The biggest thing was just I'm a failure every day. I just felt that was my biggest, probably negative thought pattern I was stuck in, is that I'm not capable, I'm not equipped, I'm a failure. So that was some of
Mhm.
my biggest struggles every day.
Yeah, yeah. And can you tell me, what was your experience like when you joined the program and as you were going through it? Tell me what it was like for you.
I was really excited because I thought, okay, this is it. I'm going to have 12 weeks to truly focus on what this is. And it was a new year. I started back in, I guess it was February. So, that felt good too. It's like, it's a new year. I had all these goals. And so it was really exciting to just start something new. And as I began the journey, I remember learning about the brain and about triggers and then about emotional processing. And all of those things were helping me understand the why of why I was reacting so quickly. And I had done some inner child work things in the past, but what I didn't have was the accountability that you gave me every week and kind of the diving deeper and just the accountability of meeting with you every Thursday and kind of going over some of the things that I was processing, the ways that I loved. I had to share with you a win every week. That was very encouraging, but then also kind of share some of my setbacks in the week and how could I do those better. And I think that weekly talking through it has been really beneficial for me.
Hmm.
So
What would you say was your favorite part?
definitely the weekly coaching. I think that that's been really special, but I loved that each week I was really diving into different parts of motherhood, just different parts, not just motherhood, but just the person that I am. Like I mentioned, from the brain part to emotional to triggers to it was just been an overall beneficial program, not just in parenting, but also in relationships and the way that I view the world, the way that I view my marriage. Just it's not just about parenting. It really has affected the way that I show up every day, even for friendships, I can tell. So, yeah, I think that's been my favorite part, the weekly coaching and the accountability around the homework and things, just making me learn new things and new ways of viewing things.
Yeah, because I love the coaching calls, but then I check in with you multiple times a
Yeah,
week. I reach
that's
out to
true.
you.
That's right.
I say, hey, how's it going? How's your week going? Are you doing
Yeah.
your homework assignments? Send me your
Heck yeah.
pictures of your completed
Yeah.
homework assignments. I'm the one that I'm not sitting there and waiting for you to reach out to me. I'm the one reaching
Yeah.
out to you to making sure you're doing the work, that you're
Yeah.
committed when you sign up for this program. What would you say was the hardest part about the coaching program?
Well, for me, because I'm an older mom, I think, there are some regrets. I think it dug up some things as we're digging into, the whys or the hows I've reacted or shown up in the past. I think that was really hard for me having older kids that are already adults, and kind of reflecting on some of those things was hard. But I also, with the I am statements that we talk about and the compassion we have for ourselves that you've taught me, I understand that I did the best I could with what I knew. And it's also brought conversations up. I've told my older girls that I'm in a coaching program. And so that's been really good. And they've asked me how it's gone. So I think being able to talk with them about it and being able to, again, just ask for forgiveness and some that I wish that I would have known, better ways to deal with conflict or my own anger and struggles. So that's been hard, but it's also been, I think, restorative in a sense too with them. So that's good.
Yeah, yeah. And we even ended up doing a lot of coaching around communication with
Hmm.
your older kiddos that and have being able to see things from a different perspective and to be more curious instead of getting easily triggered. And
Yeah.
there was just a lot of coaching through that. And it's also hopeful for me to hear these experiences because I don't know what things are going to be like for me when my kids grow up.
Right.
Obviously, there will be times where my kids are making choices and decisions that I'm like, I didn't teach you to do this. I taught you differently, and I will have to implement all the things that we talked about. When would you say you started to notice changes in yourself? How many weeks were you into the program when you're like, oh, I'm starting to notice that I am responding more instead of reacting?
Yeah, definitely by week two, I was noticing changes. My husband was noticing changes. Jacob was noticing changes. And so that was really exciting and empowering. But of course, like anything that you learn that's new, there were some setbacks for me. And then I would kind of fall into this shame feeling. And you would always remind me, we're gonna have setbacks anytime you learn anything. There's, some stretching to do. So but yeah, I would say definitely within 2 weeks, I've really noticed differences since then with just my ability to pause and shift my mindset. That's been the biggest thing. And the way that you've taught me to not allow those negative thoughts to take over my emotions. And also just to recognize triggers in Jacob. That's been huge because, like you talked about in your first few weeks, when he's in his emotional brain, this is not a teaching moment, because I tend to want to like explain, explain, explain. And that really wasn't going anywhere. So now it's just been so much wiser to just pause and shift my own thoughts to he's having a hard moment. I'm having a hard moment. Let's take some time and we'll talk about this in a little while, just to make different choices.
Yeah, and I think you've come such a long way to adapt and instead of pushing maybe the way that you want things done your way and being
Mhm.
able to adapt and adjust in circumstances that aren't going the way that you necessarily want them to go. And I remember you sharing one win with me that I was so excited about. I think it was a few weeks in, and you told me that Jacob likes to rate his homeschooling days on a scale 0 to 10 and like or 1 to 10, and 10 is like being his best day. And you guys had a 10 homeschooling day. That was a 10
Yeah.
out of 10. And he was so excited to share with his dad.
Yeah.
And you were just sharing with like it was the whole week went really well. And we,
Mm.
he did his homework really well, and I was able to respond much better, and it felt so much better. And I am just so happy for you that overall things have moved in a much better direction. Yes, you had some setbacks, like you shared. We all have hard
Hmm.
days, but
Yeah.
now I feel like you feel empowered and you know what to do. instead of feeling
Yeah.
defeated and hopeless that this is the way things are going to be and feeling stuck. So, um,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah. Tell me, how do you feel like your relationships changed? Maybe with your husband, with your son, maybe a
Hmm.
little bit of the communication, or how have things shifted for you there?
Definitely the getting curious has been really helpful because typically you know, I tend to probably talk too much and want to share my wisdom with my son. As moms, we want to talk and just say all the things. But now I'm trying to get more curious and pause and listen. And also just, if Jacob's really frustrated, kind of labeling that emotion for him. You seem frustrated, tell me more about that, like you've taught me to say, and even with my husband, just pausing and some things that maybe I would get triggered with him, just actually pausing and asking a question back. And so those things have been really helpful to diffuse myself and to not take things so personal all the time. I think as moms, as women, as wives, we tend to take things so personal because we do so many things. We wear so many different hats. We are constantly multitasking and going and doing. And I think we can start to feel unappreciated. And that's one of my triggers is when I feel unappreciated, I tend to move towards anger. But this course has helped me to recognize the areas when I'm getting triggered that, Greg still appreciates me. He still loves me. This is not an attack on me as a wife if he's frustrated or if he's, tired at the end of the day and has worked 12 hours or, to just pause and to get curious, and I wonder what kind of day he's had today and then asking him, you've taught me a lot about. I love the statement that you taught me about. I wonder what he's going through that this is the best he can do right now. And I think that a lot about my son and my daughters that are adults now. So trying to just repeat those phrases. So that's been really huge.
Yeah, and I'm just so blown away how far you have come in the last week, 12 weeks, because like this is the work that I've done on myself for over the years, but I'm just blown away how far you've come in just 12 weeks. I think it was a little bit more than 12 weeks because, you went on vacation, but just still, like in a few months, just how far you have come and how much progress you have made. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think you would have gotten where you are today if you just bought a passive course that you could just do on your own, self-paced, always available, like maybe for a couple $100, just bought the course on your own? Do you think you would
No,
have
no,
stuck with
no.
it?
I may have finished it because I am very disciplined. However, the accountability piece is what's done this here. It is not just, it is talking through things and processing the emotions and the I am statements, and you helping me through some of those shifts in my mind that I didn't even realize that I had. And I think a course by yourself, I mean, I've done those and I didn't help me. I may have learned some information, but always my struggle has been I have all this information on how to respond or what to do or why I'm doing it. But in that moment of anger or in that moment of noncompliance or defiance or a fight with my husband, I was not able to shift and respond differently. And so that has been the piece that this 12-week course with a coach that's checking in with you. I mean, think about it. I think we all need accountability. That's why there's so many accountability groups, whether it's weight or recovery or divorce care or whatever. Everybody needs a community, even if it's just one person to do that with, to get through that. So I think if you really want to see change in your life and in your heart that really sticks, you've got to have better accountability and an
Yeah.
investment in that. Hmm.
Yeah, and I agree with that because I know that when I've seen changes in my life is when I was invested and I
Hmm.
paid a chunk of money that felt a little bit out of my comfort zone. And that forced me to show up and do the work in a
Yeah.
sense, right? And having that accountability where I had to check in with somebody on a regular
Hmm.
basis and show that I'm doing the work and submit the assignments, that I'm
Mhm.
actually doing the work. And even on days where like, oh, I'll just scroll on the phone today, it's like, oh, nope, I have to do the homework.
Right.
And because someone's
Right.
asking me about it, I need to, turn it in. So
Well, and
I
I
know.
loved it because I would always get my text from you in the morning, through Voxer. I'd always be like, oh gosh, Elizabeth's going to text me this morning and ask how I'm doing. How's your homework going? And I'm like, yes, I'm going to get up early and do my homework. So, yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm doing on purpose. It's meant to do that, right?
Yes,
To
it
keep you
works.
accountable. Like the accountability in this program, I do my best to like have it as high as possible to help you succeed, because studies have shown us if you try to read a book, let's say on anger, only 0.5% of the people that finish that book actually take action and make changes in their life. And then if it's a passive course, only 2% of the people actually finish the course and implement what's in it.
Mhm.
But when you work with a coach and you have this accountability and like work directly with a coach that checks in with you, the success rate goes to 95%. And so I
Yep.
just want to encourage you, mama, that's listening. It is really hard to fail this, because I'm supporting you so much on this journey and checking in with you so much and taking time out of my day to reach out to you and see how you're doing and answer your questions and go a little bit deeper on some of the things that you're struggling with. This is what I love to do. And I am so excited. If you want to take the next step, I'm so happy and ready to support you. Tell me, I have a couple questions left for you. Now that you're done with the coaching program, how would you describe yourself today as a mom compared to when you first started?
Much more confident, and not just confident in the sense of, because I've always considered myself a good mom, like getting things done and being organized and parenting and all that. But I feel more empowered to show up the way that I want to show up for my kids and for my husband, and especially on this homeschool journey, which is new for me. So I have every confidence and know that I have the skills, and I have a lifetime access to your content. So that's going to be nice that I can look back on if I'm starting to feel weary in an area. I can look back and be encouraged again. I can get out my notebook that I wrote in all this time. So yeah, I just feel prepared. I feel like not as weary, and I feel like I'm ready. And of course, now homeschool's over for the year, but just I think even through the summer, the way that we will connect and the way that I will be able to pause in his moments of meltdowns or just defiance. I mean, he's also he's going to be 13 next month. So we're entering a whole new world of teenage years, which, I've done before, but not with the child on the spectrum, but it'll be good. It'll be good.
Yeah, and then you have a boy this time because you've
Yeah.
had girls.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have a son who is 12 and a half. So I'm in
Okay.
this similar boat. And there's definitely hormone changes that are
Hmm.
happening and
Yeah.
more mood swings and
Hmm.
more, reactivity. And I'm walking through a lot of similar things, teaching these tools to my children as well. Can you share
Hmm.
your I am statement with me?
Yes. I love my I am statement. And I am memorizing it, but it is a little bit lengthy because I just kept rewriting it. I wanted it to be something that I really connected with. But I am a nurturing mother who connects and listens well. When things feel challenging, I am emotionally stable. I can pause, shift, and respond with a warm presence, love, and wisdom.
I love that. It's so, so beautiful.
Thank
Oh, I
you.
love it. I know you've crafted it and shifted it a little bit over the weeks, and it
Mhm.
just sits so well with you. And I think it aligns so
Thank
much
you.
with who you're striving to be and who you are, right?
Mhm.
And so, what encouragement do you have for the mama that's listening, but she's hesitating to enroll into the coaching program? Maybe she's questioning if it will really work for her because she feels really hopeless in the
Mhm.
circumstance that she's in. Or maybe she's even questioning if the investment is even worth it. Can you please
Yeah.
speak to her?
I would say, oh, mama, it is so worth it. And please don't wait. I wish I wasn't in my 50s. I wish I was in my 30s, where maybe many of your listeners are. I think that this information and this coaching has given me such a good foundation that I wish I would have had, like I said, in my 30s. So I would not wait. I think it does affect relationships, our anger, are the way that we show up matters. And the tools that you have given me, Elizabeth, have been really significant for just me as a person, not just as a mother. So as we, as we're growing and changing as in the different seasons of life, I think these are beneficial tools for all the mamas out there, especially, and think everybody should jump in, go for it. You won't
Yeah,
regret it.
thank you. Thank you so much for coming on the show and just being transparent and sharing your journey. I know this is a topic that is sensitive, and many moms have a hard time just even admitting that this is what I struggle with. So, thank you so much
Mm.
for sharing your journey, and I appreciate you so much.
Well, I appreciate you and the work that you're doing because we need moms like you that are transparent. This is hard for you too to admit every day on a podcast, things that you struggle with. That I do believe we are called to share our weaknesses so that we can be transformed. So I appreciate you too, Elizabeth, and all that you're doing and the work that you do and the content you have and the way that you've supported me and coached me. I really, really appreciate it.
I'm so proud of you, Amber.
Thank you.
Friend, my dear friend, if you just listened to this podcast recording and this testimonial of Amber and you felt empowered and encouraged and you feel like this program is calling your name, it is for a reason. God is tugging at your heart and He is calling you to do something about it. Nothing changes if nothing changes. If you're ready to take the next step, if you're ready to invest in yourself, if you're ready to take action and say, no more, I'm not passing this on to my kids. I will make a difference. I will break generational anger. I will do something different so my kids don't have to deal with the aftermath of all this damage that comes with anger outbursts. My friend, I'm inviting you to join Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program. If you're ready to take the next step, the link is in the show notes. Please book a call, and I am so excited to talk to you about this. Hey mama, do you find yourself snapping over the smallest things, like spilled milk or constant whining, then feeling horrible afterwards? If you're tired of losing your temper and you want to show up with more patience, I have something for you. It's a free training called How to Be More Patient with Your Kids so you're not screaming over spilled milk. Inside, I'll walk you through 10 simple things you can start doing today to become a calmer, more Christ-like mom, even on the hard days. To get it for free, just leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and send a screenshot to hello@emotionallyhealthylegacy.com. Or if you'd rather skip the wait, you can grab it right now for just $27. The link is in the show notes. Let's help you become the peaceful, patient mom your kids need.